everybody settled? Are we good to start? Yes? No response. Are we good to start? Can we have a more louder yes? Are we ready? Much better. Okay. So for all those who are standing behind, once again, I would like to request everyone to kindly be seated. And for all those who are already seated, I would like to request everyone to kindly turn their mobiles on silent mode to avoid any kind of disturbance for our speakers as well as for all our audiences. All right, let's start then. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to you all. Good evening. My name is Mugdha and I'm going to be your host. Firstly, thank you so much for marking your presence at this spectacular evening. Can we have a huge round of applause for all our lovely audience? Thank you so much for gracing this occasion. So I would like to welcome you to the 8th edition of Axis Bank Evolve, our knowledge series dedicated to empowering small and medium-sized enterprises. We are thrilled to have you all join us as we delve into insightful discussions, share expertise, and foster growth opportunities. Your presence enriches our community, and we look forward to an engaging and productive exchange during this event. Thank you for being a part of Evolve and for your commitment to continuous learning and development. It is with great honor and privilege that I stand before you all to introduce a distinguished leader whose guidance and vision has truly shaped the organization's journey. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Mr. Brejesh Chalil. Can we have a huge round of applause for sir, who will deliver the welcome address? Mr. Brejesh Chalil is Executive Vice President, Small Business Banking and Commercial Banking Group. He is a seasoned banking professional with more than 27 years of hands-on experience in the lending space, especially in the areas of customer acquisition, corporate, as well as retail, risk management, underwriting, process management, digital transformation, and portfolio management. And now let's have a huge round of applause as I request Mr. Brejesh Chalil to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Good evening, friends. Warm welcome to the 8th edition of Evolve. This is the Evolve we started in 2014 and 15. It's a learning experience for the bank. That's one of the reasons we want to contribute to the MSMEs, where we can get the feedback, we can learn from entire ecosystem. And every Evolve, we do almost 20 to 30 cities, where we understand the Indian economy, and MSME is one segment where contributes to the Indian GDP almost 30%, 33% now. So what we want from here, all of you, is we need your feedback, then it will help us to understand and make the policies, increase the technology enablement. So if you see the Indian economy today, 3 years back when the MSME registration minimum udyam is there, which is almost 1.9, today it's almost 3.9 lakhs. And what it sees that this growth, the government initiatives, what is taken today in terms of when the COVID impact happened for MSMEs, the ECLG scheme and this other subsidy scheme government is giving, the MSMEs are taking that advantage. So as a bank today, when I see that we have a market share of almost 8.3, and we have almost book of 2 lakh crore. And how we created is because the whole ecosystem is MSMEs are changing. I think you are the one, we are witnessing that growth journey with you, and as bank are developing a lot of technology to make sure that your ease of doing is happening there. See, if you see the overall ecosystem, we have 28.2 trillion MSME book in India. Out of that, when you see that normally in few years back, the Indian banks are focusing on medium and above, then it comes to a smaller. Now all the banks ecosystems are going to focus on the bottom of the pyramid, which is the informal MSMEs as well as micro and other segment. When you see that as a bank today, we have created a structure where we can take care of entire ecosystem. We started 5 years back the small business banking, which normally lend up to 30 crores of turnover, where we have decided that we will use the technology to make sure that the MSMEs are getting the lending without any hassles. The earlier days, when I see that if you are a 100 crore company, you have a supplier or the our vendors, normally getting a lending from the bank is not easy. It was normally done on informal lending. 80% of funding is come from family capital or the private finance or some other gold loan kind of a thing, where we are now today, all the main banks are funding in that segment. If you see that, the bottom of the pyramid, large segment, we have a product from 50,000 rupees to 100 crore. And today, proudly we can say that within 2 minutes, we can transfer up to 20 lakhs MSME funding to our EVP customer. This is the overall, if you see this slide, the growth journey of Axis Bank. We have a 28% of CAGR in terms of year on year. And the bottom of the pyramid, you see that micro and the formal funding, it is at 44, which is the highest growth is happening there. And this is because of the digitization. Today, if you see that earlier, if the guy was 1 crore or 2 crore, there is no data available. Today, most of the information available based on without a financial, we can underwrite those customers. What is our vision as a bank? Like today, digitization becoming buzzword for everywhere. So as a bank, when I see that we want to be a digitally enabled solution provider for MSME, that is our vision. What it means, it is not only at the lending, onboarding journey, also we want to see that how the customer experience in terms of servicing the customer. There are a lot of innovation is happening across the world. In India, it is much, much faster way. We have a lot of products today. What we believe that if he is an Axis Bank customer, he don't have to shop anywhere. Whether it is a small ticket loan, whether it's a large ticket or a corporate loan or mid-corporate loan, we have entire bouquet of product. If you see in the slide today, I think from the business loan, unsecured, or a supply chain, or a equipment finance, or a medical equipment, or a LC, any product, we are able to do that because we have around footprint of 5,000 branches today, and also around 200 loan centers. And across in the exclusive relationship manager for MSME, around 5,000 people on there in the ground to service the customer. That is a strength. That's one of the reasons we're able to create that ecosystem. We can able to grow in that space. These are the much, today I think deposit is one of the requirement for everybody, where the liquidity is becoming a difficult days. And that's one of the reasons any product, whether it is a deposit or it is funding or any non-based fund product, we have across all products are available for us. When I mentioned about technology today, like you have a MSME sector where you have 100 crore, today I can understand your ecosystem. We can do a data room exercise, understand your vendor or a buyer. We can underwrite that customer. Digitally, we can fund them. The only thing we need to partner each other, which is called today a dealer finance or a retailer finance. We can be doing the digitally, we can do that. Maybe this will help entire ecosystem. Today, when I say that Axis Bank 8 rates, which is there, Invoice Smart, which is anybody, it's a marketplace, somebody applies the loan and we can discount the loan for that. And we have a tie-up with the partners, like somebody's in the marketplace, like Flipkart, Amazon. We have a tie-up with the Flipkart where we can lend the MSME who is the retailer there or supplier based on their behavior in that platform. And it is an instant loans. What is there, how you make the life of the customer today? Earlier days, I understand maybe a 10-year back or a 15-year back, getting a home loan is difficult. Today, MSME loan is always like you need to list of package, the bundle file has to be given for underwriting. Today, I think most of the information we can really pull out from the system. It's an API integration with the many of the, I think RBI has come up with the RBI Innovation Hub. We are one of the partner there, where we are integrated with them. We are able to give the instant loan. I think we have done around 3,300 crores with a tie-up with RBI. That itself says that the government is also encouraging these kind of innovation. And if you see the risk in this digitization is compared to the physical world, that itself says this has a more accuracy than other type of underwriting. So in terms of once you do a onboarding of the customer, how you service them. This is what we are doing Neo for Business. We have put up a desk outside. I request all of you to go and visit that stall and take the experience of that if you are not done before. Currently, it is done for sole prop. And also, Neo Corporate is also available for us. Whoever is registered, you can get that, other than the corporate internet banking. This will have, like if you have a Tally, it is integrated with Tally. So I think it's entire reconciliation or invoice and Tally, which most of the 70% of the market share has the Tally in MSMEs. I think this will be very, very useful for the MSMEs. And this is one of the tools is there. My request you to go and experience that Neo for Business. I think whatever we done today in the Indian banking system, I think we are rewarded with many awards. Few of them are shown in the slide. This is because of your confidence. I think you have shown us, and that's one of the reasons banking industry, Axis Bank is going very well, and thank you for all the support. And today is the evening, I think we have a lot of sessions are there with our speaker, Mr. Sanjeev Vasdev. He's a veteran in the technology space as well as the innovation. I think his company has grown multiple folds in a few years, and we want to hear them. Let's take his experience, maybe use that experience in our business as well as the banking, make sure that we will use this platform. I think over the dinner, let's interact more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shetty, for such great insights. We also have with us the Executive Director, Axis Bank, Mr. Munish Sharda. He has worked for over 25 years in banking and financial services sector across product categories in all major markets of the country. He brings in rich leadership experience in scaling businesses, leveraging digital and technology to drive business outcomes, building people capabilities, and enhancing customer experience. Prior to joining Axis Bank, Mr. Munish was the Managing Director and CEO of Future Generali India Life Insurance for over 7 years, where he led transformation and growth and scaled up the business with improved profitability. He has also worked in the consumer goods industry with Blow Blast Limited and with engineering major Larsen & Toubro Limited. He also holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Punjab Engineering College and has completed his postgraduate diploma in management from IIM Lucknow. He also holds a certification in ESG investing by CFA Institute, USA. Today he has joined us digitally, so now I'm going to request Mr. Munish to please say a few words. Let's have a huge round of applause and welcome him. Yes, can we please clap? Let's wait for him to join us.
Yes, hi, Angela, can you hear me?
Manish, we can hear you.
Okay, you guys can
Munish,
see me?
can you turn your video on?
Yes, I'll just switch on my video.
Yes, we can see you.
Hi. So let me know when to start, Vijay.
Munish, you can start.
Okay. Hi, everybody. First of all, welcome to the 8th edition of Evolve. And thank you all for joining us today. I wish I was there today, but for some reason I could not travel. But very grateful to all of you for joining us on the 8th edition of Evolve. I just want to share a few thoughts with you, and then possibly, if anybody has any question, I can answer in the end. So now at Axis Bank, we've always believed in the power and capabilities of MSMEs, and we deeply acknowledge the contribution of our MSME franchise in reaching where we are today as an institution. MSME business for Axis Bank is one of our highest focus area and one of our largest businesses. As you all are aware, MSME sector has seen one of the most most significant turnaround, and it's actually a very important driver for India to achieve its target of $5 trillion economy by 2027. The Make in India theme of the Government of India revolves around import substitution, etc., through strategic manufacturing by MSMEs. And additionally, we believe MSMEs are not limited to a few sectors anymore, but are spread across sectors like pharma, auto components, food processing, technology, etc., some of which have seen multifold growth in recent years. Now, while all the digital products and platforms are available on one side, we are Axis Bank is an organization that believes in human touch. We are close to 200 dedicated centers in commercial banking group catering to MSMEs and a network of over 5,500 branches. We have 500 plus branches under the Platinum Branch concept for small business banking in the country that provides various finance and banking service assistance to our customers. Our customer-centric approach, strong and differentiated product offerings, along with wide distribution and deep coverage, remain the core pillar through which we continue to serve the financial needs and aspirations of all of our customers. We intend to use our network extensively to continuously reach out to our customers and prospects to live up to a credo of being Dil Se Open. Among the private sector banks, we are the second largest in the MSME space by book size, and constant pursuit of redefining customer experience in the digital space has led to various digital innovations poised to transform the banking paradigm of tomorrow. With a forward-looking approach, we've evolved our processes with a solid digital infrastructure established over the past 3 years. Commensurate with our expertise, our relationship managers are more like advisors to MSMEs and helping them grow in all aspects. As on December 2023, the MSME book of the bank is upwards of 2 lakh crores. That accounts for approximately 10% of the lending of the banking sector to MSME units. The active private sector lending of the bank is over 95,000 crores. The lending to micro, small and medium enterprises is equally distributed to a large extent and not skewed. The weaker section private sector lending book of the bank is also approximately about 53,000 crores, and thereby helping the small marginal farmers, artisans, village and cottage. Today, as we all know and we acknowledge, liquidity for MSME is of supreme importance. We at Axis Bank have moved from traditional underwriting to new age credit assessment techniques such as cash flow based underwriting lending, where we offer collateral-free EMI-based business loans up to a certain amount for all MSMEs too. Our Deep Geo initiative, which we call Bharat Banking Initiative, focus on servicing customers in semi-urban and rural regions across 2,300 branches. With tremendous success, we now huge focus on Bharat. That's our strategy, one of our strategic initiatives. The bank has created a distinctive Bharat Bank unit with tailored rural products, increased footprint through branching and digital presence, partnership with facilitators like CSPs and VLEs enabled by multi-people agro commodities focused ecosystems. Our digital invoice, many of you may be participating in, called Invoice, a new benchmark facilitating financing of MSME invoices of more than 65,000 crores. Last month alone, in we did about 5 plus crores funding the platform. We've also made strong progress by launching NEO, which is one of its kind tool or application toward our ambition of building a world-class digital wholesale bank. Many of you may already know, but for personal banking or digital banking app called Open is actually one of the highest rated mobile banking app in the world. Not in India, it's the highest rated mobile banking app on Android and iOS in the world. So on similar lines, we're actually developing an application called NEO for our MSME customers, which we again wanted to be amongst the world's best mobile banking app for MSME customers, to enable our MSME customers to do just about anything on that app. It is API driven. it will enable every MSME to go for seamless digital banking for cash management system, forex, and for trade. This first of its kind digital ecosystem that we are building, and with that caters to the real and emerging transaction banking needs of all our MSME customers. In all, I have to with you that this entire MSME space is a huge focus area for the bank. We are investing heavily. We're looking at new clusters that are coming up, new capabilities, new customer segments. Both working capital needs as well as participating in the supply chain finance kind of framework to finance our MSME customers and provide you a single top, kind of solutioning shop to cater to all of your needs. And that's how we are also preparing our relationship managers that when you're sitting with the client, which is you, many of you in the room, our RM should be able to actually deliver all the banking solutions to you in a single, engagement. So that's our endeavor. And with that endeavor, we are investing in the MSME business and the technology for the bank. In the end, I'd just like to assure you that Axis Bank is hugely focused on supporting MSMEs, nurturing them and providing them all possible means to enable their motto. And be open is our credo, or is something we talk about every day. And we for your dreams, our eyes open, for your hope, minds are open, and for plans we promise to open every possible window of opportunity. Once again, I just want to thank all of you for joining us in this 8th edition of Evolve. Would have loved to be there, but hopefully I'll meet some of you in your offices or in your workplaces, etc. And till the next edition of Evolve, possibly, I won't go all of you together, but thank you very much for coming to this event and giving us an opportunity to serve all of you as a banking institution. Thank you very much. Vijay?
Thanks a lot, Munish.
Any questions anybody has, I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, anybody has any questions? You can just raise your hand, we'll have the mic passed to you. Yes, anybody has any question? No one, I guess. No, nobody's having any question. Looks like they've just understood everything that you said, so it was so perfect, they don't have any questions.
On that note, thank you all very much and wish you all the best in your endeavors. And we again would like to assure you that at Axis Bank, we are deeply focused on your needs, and we'll continue to ensure that we sharpen our
There is one question.
Digital platform.
There is one question.
Question? Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay, sir. Myself, Vinayak. I am from SRD Enterprises. I am thanks to Axis Bank for believing in me. First of all, they approved my CGTMSC loans, 20 lakhs. Now it is up to the 1 CR. On that basis, I completed my turnover to 10 CR for these financial years. So I really thankful to Axis Bank to give me the opportunity and give me the financial support. I really thanks for that.
Thank you, sir. I'm so happy to know. Can I also share one more thing? While you are, many of you may be banking with us for your business requirements, but I have to tell you that some of our, banking solutions for yourself, for your own self, our products like our credit cards, our banking accounts, some of those solutions are actually amongst the best in the Indian banking industry. So, we would love that you do all of your banking with us, not only your business is banking, but even your personal banking for your family, Burgundy private, relationship, proposition one end, and our credit cards proposition another end. They are like world-class solutions, which I'm sure the team will share with you. But you must experience our banking solutions across this cross-section of products, including for yourself and your families.
Anybody, any more questions?
Good. Yeah,
Vijay?
no questions? No, I guess that's about it.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you very much, and hope you have a good evening. Vijay, thank you so much.
Let's
Thank
have
you,
a
Manish.
huge round of applause for him. Thank you so much, Mr. Manish, for enlightening us on how Axis Bank is focusing on MSMEs. And now coming back to Evolve and to take this event forward, we have planned a very interesting fireside chat session on future proofing MSME businesses within the current macroeconomic outlook, which will be moderated by Mr. Prashant TS. Now, before we actually start with our fireside chat, our customers' voice and their opinions really matter a lot to us at Axis Bank. So we thought of sharing a feedback form with all of you in order to capture your voice. So requesting you all to kindly fill up the the feedback form, which is I think already handed over to you at the registration. So while you move out of the banquet, make sure you drop it at the registration desk. Okay? Yes? Everybody with me? Yes, yes. Yes, can we have a louder yes? Okay. So we all on the same page. Great. So let's take it ahead now. So ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our moderator for today, Mr. Prashant TS. Mr. Prashant TS is an accomplished banker with over 2 decades of experience in the banking industry. Mr. Prashant holds a master's degree in business administration, currently serving as the Executive Vice President of the Wholesale Banking Coverage Group at Axis Bank since March 2020. He brings in nearly 24 years of expertise in various verticals within corporate and retail banking. At Axis Bank, Mr. Prashant leads the mid-corporate and medium enterprise group, playing a crucial role in the growth and success of these key business segments. Prior to joining Axis Bank, he held a prominent position at HDFC Bank, where he was responsible for establishing a strong business architecture across the wholesale and retail banking divisions. Yes, can we please applaud and welcome our moderator on stage? I would now like to invite our guest speaker and a panel member for the evening. Let's have a huge round of applause for Mr. Sanjeev Vasdev, the founder and managing director, Flash Group of Companies. So let me give you a little highlight about his career graph. Mr. Sanjeev Vasdev is the founder and managing director of the Flash Group of Companies, which was established in 1989. Under Mr. Vasdev's leadership, Flash Electronic has undergone a transformative journey, growing from a small niche player with only a few products to a global force in the automotive component industry. Today, Flash Electronic produces a wide spectrum of automotive products with a turnover exceeding 1,300 crores. I think we need to really clap for this. Mr. Vasdev believes in staying ahead in the rapidly evolving realm of electrical and electronics by adopting a proactive approach. In 2007, Flash was one of the first companies in electrical and electronics to receive the Department of Scientific and Industrial Research certification for its research and development. Lastly, Mr. Vasdev's commitment extends beyond business to social responsibility. Flash Electronics supports various trusts focused on education, health, and hygiene. The company collaborates with the Maharashtra government's education scheme, providing apprenticeships that empower individuals to earn while learning. Moving on to our next panel member, which is, let's applaud and welcome him, Mr. Brejesh Chalil, Head of Treasury Sales, Axis Bank Limited. Mr. Brejesh is a seasoned treasury and financial markets professional with 25 years experience in markets. He started his career in the financial markets with ANZ Bank before going to join Standard Chartered Bank, where he worked for 20 years in the treasury. In his 2.5-decade stint, Mr. Brejesh has worked in ALM, traded in the US rates markets, run FX and derivative sales, headed Ecom, built the money market desk, and has worked on structured financing solutions. He joined Axis Bank in early 2020, where he currently heads Treasury market sales for bank. Let's have a huge round of applause for him. A warm welcome to all of you. We are really looking forward to an exciting fireside session. So over the next hour or so, we will touch on the various topics of MSMEs. And now, without any further ado, I would like to request our moderator, Mr. Prashant, to kindly take over.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming over today. And Pune happens to be one of our favorite cities. And we do this session every year. And Pune is not only known as an IT hub, it also is a large manufacturing hub and an auto hub. And as a bank, we are committed to serve every MSME who's based out of Pune. Pune also happens to be one of the largest MSME hubs. It has about 6 lakhs registered MSMEs in Pune. So as a bank, we strive hard to come here every year to understand what your needs are and to ensure we serve you. Thank you once again for coming today evening. So, Sanjeev ji, thank you for taking time out and spending time with us today. Before I kind of start, I wanted you to introduce Flash to all our clients today. And I have seen Flash's journey over the last few years. Exceptional journey. I remember, from a turnover of 10 crores in about 2006 to 1400 crore turnover today. It's a very impressive journey. And if you could also touch upon the topic as to what you believe that we as a bank need to do for MSMEs and what are the things that MSMEs look forward from banks today?
First of all, good evening to everyone and thank you for having me over, Prashant ji, Brejesh. Well, I think before I answer your question, I'll give you a little, about how we were able to grow. I heard someone talking to your executive director and telling and, thanking the bank how he has grown with your support. I had a very similar opportunity to, I did my engineering and I passed out in 1987. So in 87, when I passed out, I wanted to be a job creator. And that was, let's say, something in my mind that I wanted to do something. And I wanted to do something different. And of course, at that time, it was not very easy because, we were in the regime of very high taxes and various difficulties in setting up the industries at that time. And banking sector was, we didn't have banks like Axis Bank, it was more like a PSU banks and they had very strict, calculation methods of looking at and giving loans. But you guys have really changed all that now. But going back there, I got this opportunity, when I wanted to do something in the automotive sector. And two-wheelers was the obvious choice because that was the mass production. Because in those times, I'm talking about the time when Marutis of the world had just come in and it was, the cars were on a waiting period, scooters were literally waiting periods of 5 years. It was not selling, it was more like allocation at that time. So of course, so I chose that, and I'm not from Pune, I'm from Delhi. Born and brought up in Delhi, I still reside in Delhi. But Pune had a very large automotive player, which is Bajaj here. And I wanted to actually try and get some orders from them to try and set up something. But it was very difficult. I remember the first time in '88 when I tried to, meet someone in Bajaj Auto. The only person I met was the security guard and I was turned away from that gate. So, but in '89, there was a new motor vehicle act which came in which made turn indicator signals, compulsory on all two-wheelers. So that was like a opportunity for us to go back and try and demonstrate our capability. And then we started. I had my father was in service. We are from a service family. We continuously that my father and they were all from service. And all I could manage to get in 1989 from him was around 40,000 rupees. And with that capital base of 40,000 rupees, I set up Flash Electronics. And I still remember that why it became Flash Electronics, because the first product I developed was a flasher. And when I was sitting in front of the general manager of the company who was giving me the order, he asked me what is my company's name. And I just realized that I don't have a company. And so I said, before they don't give me the order, I blurted out a name, and that was Flash Electronics, because flasher was in my hand. So that's my journey, how it started. 89 to 2006 was a journey which was, let's say, very, very, it was a slow growth because of mainly funding issues. Did not have the funds. And that's in 2005 we decided that either we will have to close down or we will have to do something different. And then I went to a bank. Of course, I went to various banks and no one helped me. And I went to a bank because our demands were very different. It may sound crazy right now, but those were the demands. I went to the bankers where I got the opportunity to meet the banks. That time the private banking had come up in a big way. And my demand was that I need 50 crores of loan. I have no capital base of mine. I need 100% funding. And I don't have a collateral. Whatever I buy from your 50 crores will be the collateral for the bank. There was one banker who took this call. He's now a very dear friend. He rose to an executive director of the bank. Now he's an MD of a merchant banking. So he became a very dear friend too. He's a very close friend now also. And that's how my journey, and after that we never looked back. So why I'm telling this story is how important a banker's role is to actually help us achieve our vision, help us achieve our dream. You are the, people behind who can actually help every individual achieve their dreams. And that you can do with having innovative lending. And I was very happy. In fact, I was just telling my son, I saw this Neo app, my daughter's running her own fashion design house. I'm going to go back and, I'm going to tell her. I said, this is an app you should, look at. And don't worry, she won't make those unreasonable demands I demanded to my banker in 2005. But that's how I said, you have to have confidence in yourself. You have to have belief in yourself. And I think one important message I will give to every entrepreneur sitting in this room, the reason we succeeded was not only the product portfolio, but having financial discipline. My only recommendation to everyone, never get carried away. Do not divert working capital for long-term uses. That is a disaster. And I think if you keep financial discipline and you have bankers like Axis, I think, and Axis is my lead banker today too, and I'm really happy to be here. And so thank you once again to have me here.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji. Inspiring and motivating story. Thank you. Sanjeev ji, if you could just give me your overview about Indian economy, what you think, and I believe you're on an expansion mode. You planned a capex in the coming year, a year after. And what is your view and what is your suggestion to entrepreneurs and MSMEs who are kind of sitting on the fence whether they should go and invest, and relating it to the economy, if you can just...
See, of course, economy is doing extremely well. In fact, I was talking to Vijay just before the event started. I got an opportunity to meet him for the first time. That, even after the interest rates rising, we are still doing so well, means fundamentals are strong. But let me take you back about 34 years. When I started in 89, economy was in doldrums. I started from an area, because I'm into automotive electronics. Can you imagine that the first import we did, I paid 330% import duty of electronic component, 330%. And today, 0%. That is how Indian economy has changed. I mean, we have had various opportunities, but the most important area where I would say we really need to focus on is to be specialized. Don't get carried away. Specialization is the key. If you are doing something, do not get swayed what the others are doing and try and copy a different model. Do what you believe in. Do what you specialize in. And this is exactly what we did. We did not move out of our core. And this is the reason we have succeeded. And I want to tell every SME, please do this. The economy is very strong. Funding is there. Use it to grow. Do not use it for any other means. You will always have the opportunity to do that. And I think Brejesh is a better person to answer this question, because he is, I am told, a wizard in this, his calculations. But I think let's hear it from him.
Yeah. So Brejesh, I'd like you to start from a banking lens. How do you see, globally how things are panning out, be it US, Europe, China, all of that. If you could just tell me how the global landscape is and what can MSMEs see from there?
So, from a global perspective, and we'd start from there, honestly, I've spent about 25 years in markets. And if you ask me what keeps me up at night, this year, it's geopolitics. We have 50% of the world going in for elections this year. 65 countries, 4.2 billion people going in for elections this year. And surprisingly, for a year that ideally is so politically heavy, we're not actually seeing, I would say, the volatility that you should be seeing. So, in a way, when it does come, it might be a bit strong. So that is, obviously a bit of a worry. We have obviously India and US. If you look at these two countries itself, that's a very, very large population. Starting with the US, we have, we got Trump coming in, possibly. He's a 55% lead right now compared to Biden. Few years ago, when the US elections were there and, people heard Trump's name, no one thought the chances of Trump coming in were very real. This time, it's real. He's coming in with a plan. And this impacts all of us because he's already put out his plan, the tariffs that are coming in, not so favorably for possibly China, which means it's possibly favorably for Vietnam, Thailand, and even countries like India. So implications of who comes into politics, very important. From an India perspective, for now, obviously it looks like it's the current government that should come in. We will find out very soon. But as we near election time, I feel the volatility could go up. So that's a bit of a worry. We had we've had the Russia-Ukraine war going on for a while. We had the Hamas, and Israel tragedy that actually happened. And I was worried that would blow out into a full-scale war, but that's again something you got to keep your eyes on. So as a markets individual, for our customers, we keep tracking things. So if you look at a shipping container cost from Shanghai to Rotterdam, it used to cost about $2,000 a container, 40 feet. Went up to 14,000 in COVID, came down, but it's gone back up to 7,000. The number of ships passing through Suez Canal coming down. So these are things that we watch out for our customers, because it means there are potentially risks. From a global economy perspective, US is doing very well. Despite, hiking rates, they've taken rates up from almost 0 to 5.5%. But their economy is doing very well. It's a bit troublesome then for the neighboring economies. So if you look at Europe, many of you are in the manufacturing sector here, so you do import machinery from Europe. Europe is struggling. They've had a war in their backyard. Inflation has hit them hard. Most of us in India, we're used to inflation, We can live with high prices and the social fabric is strong, but it's not so easy in Europe and US who've not seen such high inflation. And US rates are higher than European rates. So the attraction of capital has gone to the US. So UK and EU don't know what to do. They can't hike rates, because if they hike rates, the economy is slowing down. If they cut rates, the more money goes out of EU into US. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. They're waiting, all eyes on the US for rate cuts. 3 months ago, the number of cuts expected from the US was 6. It's come down to 2. So basically, the US rates might stay higher a little longer, which means more pain for the rest of the world. If you look at China, we all know about the kind of slowdown that we're seeing there. It was a very investment-led economy. They used to pump in 40% of the GDP was investment-led. Did very well for many years, but they've taken their leg off the accelerator. So you're seeing a slowdown. We saw inflation as low as minus 0.8% a few months ago. So the China pain is a bit real, but surprisingly, if you continue to see data, Sanjeev, you'll actually see they're still spending on manufacturing. So they've not shied away, but the economy is definitely slowing down. So we don't expect to see the 10% growth. It could be 4-5%. Again, possibly good for India, China 1+ strategy. So that's the kind of global wrap-up that, how we see the world and
Sure, thanks. Sanjeevji, picking up from what he said, what do you think is the impact of this on Indian manufacturing? And if I pick up a few points from what he said, China's manufacturing impact on India and the China +1 story. And we're also seeing Vietnam, Indonesia coming as, manufacturing hubs. And how do you see this impacting Indian manufacturing and e-mobility in specific?
See, as far as China +1 is concerned, it's very good to hear this. But in reality, it is very different. First of all, China is a global manufacturer. Today, not a single electric vehicle can be made anywhere in the world without the contribution of China. The batteries have to come from China. The magnets have to come from China. We have to understand that. China +1, and how did China become such a global hub? Is the support they got in terms of the infrastructure and everything. Today, let's look at it from a different angle. I'm not talking about 89, I'll shift to 2005. When 2005, when I started my career of, let's say the resurgence of Flash or rebooting of Flash in 2005, whatever I spent, out of the project cost, only 5 to 7% was towards land and building. In 2014-15, when we did a very large expansion, 33% was land and building. Now, if we do 35% land and building, how can any industry actually make money? It's impossible. So I think the infrastructure is definitely lagging. We have some excellent policies from the center, but I think the states are not implementing certain policies, and this is definitely something one needs to look at, because there is a great opportunity for every SME on the China +1 story, But China plus one does not mean that we can win businesses based on cost. We can win businesses based on our innovation skills. Because I strongly believe cost can never be a differentiator. Do not build a business model where you say cost is a differentiator, because tomorrow I may be cheaper, tomorrow you may be cheaper. So cost can never be a differentiator. It's the innovation which you will create which will always be the differentiator. Second, if there is enough support provided by the government, I think we can do wonders in this China plus one. There's a huge opportunity. But believe me, there is no alternative right now. India needs China. Forget India. Every automotive company needs China in terms of getting the inputs. We do not have but we are lucky to get inputs at a very competitive pricing because it's coming in from China. And they have created that business model where the infrastructure created by the government for them enables them to be cost competitive. And this is the area where with the Indian innovation and the Indian entrepreneurs, they have a different skill set which I think no one in the world has that. We can really become a very, very solid force to reckon with, but I think the government really needs to do a lot. Secondly, as a bank, you will need to play a very, very important role for this growth story to pan out. And when I talk about innovation, there will be a lot of innovation required in banking too. And I think today, what I saw, it was so impressive because, I've not got an opportunity to meet that often and see what all the banking, all you are doing. But what I understand here is you are also creating customized solutions. They are not now generic solutions कि आप आ जाओ लोन ले लो और चले जाओ. You are also creating customized solutions. I'm sure other banks are also doing that. I think this is the need of the hour. If we are able to do customization in our production, you are there to support customization of for meeting the funding needs of the entrepreneurs, I think we have a huge opportunity to grow in this China plus one story. Vietnam, Thailand, I agree, they are there. But believe me, I've been to Vietnam, I've been to Thailand. They may be very hardworking, but they are nowhere compared to the skill set we Indians have today. So I think as an Indian, with this Make in India campaign and huge support which can be given by the banking sector, I think we have a great story where we can grow again much, much higher. And I think meeting a double-digit growth is the need of the hour if we have to go to a 5 trillion economy. But for that, it's important to have the infrastructure which the banks can also play a very important role on.
Great. Brejesh, you want to add anything on the manufacturing piece globally? What's happening China or other places?
So I completely agree with Sanjeev in terms of, China. There was this point many years ago also, people used to, remember maybe a decade and a half ago, people used to say India versus China. I mean, there's no competition in that sense. China is a behemoth. They've built what they've built, and we've got to respect that. And yes, we can take advantage of it, which we are, and it's actually globally brought inflation down. But yes, what they're going through now could definitely be a positive, and very heartening, Sanjeev, to hear that your belief in the Indian entrepreneur, and you're living proof of that. But on mobility and especially the business you're in, and if you look at your question, Prashant, on manufacturing, so I think mobility, the future is electric. I think it's kind of decided. I would say the three things that have kind of decided it for mobility being electric. One is technology, second is regulation, and the third is the consumer. So if you look at regulation, today if you look at EU, they've coined this whole thing, Fit for 55. So by 2055, we have to be electric. If you look at Biden, he's announced by 2030, 50% of all cars going to be electric. So the world has gone out, and they put regulations in place for that. So regulations are clearly directing the future towards electric. If you look at the consumer, I mean, most families today, probably 5 years ago, electric, we would all kind of, like, we're not sure, is it a kid train or is it a toy train? But today, everyone is really looking at it very seriously. I mean, Tata sales are here for, everyone to look at. But it's picking up in bikes and, you probably know better, but bikes and buses and possibly then cars. So I think the consumer has chosen, which is, again, very, very, hard to kind of push aside. And the third is technology. The amount of money today that is going towards electric, $400–500 billion. Entrepreneurs like yourself stepping in, the money is flowing through. Today in the bank, and you can ask Prashant and Vijay, when we sit back and look at the top 5, 3 or 4 areas where we are going to focus on, or growth areas, defense, electric, 5G, these are things that come up. So it's manufacturing, it's electric. So I think, like I said, the future has been spoken, and its e-mobility is electric. The future is electric.
Yeah, thanks. Sanjeev, this is one of my favorite questions to you. I think he said future is seen. Somehow you got this right, and I would say we're Nostradamus on this. In 2017, you predicted the EV game right, and you invested yourself heavily on that, and that's kind of paid you back in gold. So if you could just tell me what conviction you had at that time to choose EV as a space, and how do you see future for EV?
Like I told you, I am from Delhi. And Delhi has become like a gas city. This is going to be now, like Brejesh also said, regulation driven. And regulation driven and demand. And it is definitely, I think we are still a little early. I believed in that story that we will reach to a level which would be about 5 to 7% of the total market size. I never said that we are going to be anything more than that. What I still believe in, that India will still take at least 8 to 10 years before we can see a very, very, let's say, large percentage of vehicles getting electric, because for that, we need to look at the back end. We need to sort ourselves on the battery side. We need to sort ourselves on the semiconductor side, because the requirement of semiconductors, when you talk about electrification or electronics, is going to go multi-folds. I don't know, a lot of you may not be related, but you must have definitely heard कि आपको गाड़ी की delivery नहीं मिल रही है because there is a semiconductor crisis in the market and all that. But this is something I think the government is doing. But I still believe that there is enough juice left in ICE. ICE may not be in the similar form. What about CNG? What about hydrogen? What about hybrid? I think what is important is technology. Now, technology does not mean only electric. It is going to be regulatory driven. It is going to be customer driven. At the end of the day, the consumer has to pay for it. Very few consumers will pay a premium pricing. At the end of the day, they have to be, the recovery has to be logically in about 2 years' time. You can't say that you take an EV vehicle and wait for 10 years for your ROI. It's not going to work. So I think it's going to be regulatory driven. As far as we are concerned, we are in the field of electricals and electronics. And for us, it does not, the technology continues to evolve. Why, it's in the consumer electronics. By the time you come home after buying a television set, next day you read in the papers that next upgrade model has also launched. So this is going to be, I think, very similar now. You see the cars, the number of cars which are getting launched every week. Every week there's a new model. Two-wheelers, you are seeing a company which was maybe launching models once in 2 years, once in 3 years, are actually launching either a new model or an upgraded model once a month. Every company. So I think for us it was important to get the act together, because electricals and electronics is a space where you will make mistakes. You have to learn with the mistakes. You have to understand the technology. You have to understand the environment you work in. For us, we took that decision in 2017. We are very happy we took that decision because we have taken a wide, let's say, we've created a large gap. We've gone way ahead over there. Today, I'm, very happy that we are among the top producers in the country for EV parts and going forward too. But still, let us not talk about EV alone. Let's talk about modern mobility. Modern mobility can be a different form of CNG, LPG, hydrogen, and this is what you will see alternative fuels also coming in. Like government is really focusing a lot on ethanol today.
Yeah.
So ethanol mixes started happening. That is also getting the blended price down. So I think there are a few factors which will play, but definitely let's put it this way. If someone today asks me that what I see as EV, I would say 10% by 2030 or 20% by 2030. A lot of pundits may differ, but I have my own ways of assessing the market.
Sure. Just picking up from what Sanjeev ji said, chips and semiconductors. Globally, there's been a lot of talk about this shortage of chips and semiconductor. How do you see this globally impacting companies, industries, all of it?
So that memory of chips causing cars, it's amazing. Almost 200 billion impact on the car industry because of chips. I mean, today semiconductor chips, anything I think that has a switch on or off has a semiconductor. Something that's as small as a fingernail and has millions of circuits running through it, in a way is, I would say, the new oil. And it's if you look at that statement, wars have been fought on oil, and I wouldn't be surprised in the decade that we're in, or in the next decade, if a war is fought on chips or semiconductors. And again, Prashant, from a banking perspective for our customers, we always look at it from a risk lens, right? That's the first thing. So again, when I look at chips or semiconductors as we speak, it's pretty amazing. The US actually invented it, and today they're barely manufacturing 10%. So it's designed in the US. So the largest designing of chips is in the US. The machines that make it come from Netherlands or Europe. TSMC, Taiwan, as we know, is the largest chip manufacturer. 2/3 of the world production is Taiwan. 15% possibly Korea. So the West is designing it. The East is manufacturing it. And then it gets shipped to China to get put into various products which we all consume. So that was the global setup which we had, and it worked so far. But if you see what's happening, we're talking about Make in India and Atmanirbhar, and every country is talking that, like led by the US. So, and for that dependence, so in 2022, Biden announced, the Chip and Science Act, $280 billion put behind it, right? This is going to go in tax ops and manufacturing setups and everything. So the perspective I'm giving is, I wouldn't be surprised that as everyone gears up, India included, to build chips and semiconductors, once we're all broadly independent, that's when you could possibly have a situation which could be negative. Or if the supply chains are disrupted, which is where, again, geopolitics come into play, China, Taiwan rivalry issues. So I look at chips and semiconductors again from a risk lens. But I'm quite happy to see that, India and all the other countries are trying to build their capability.
Sure. So you just picking up from what he said, do you see this as a risk for manufacturing in India, chips and semiconductors? And I also see a lot of startups coming in this space, trying to build this space. Do you see a supplier risk on this piece of business?
There is a risk in the sense, why this crisis happened. In 2020, when the automotive market crashed because of various, it started crashing and then there was a crash of the market. So there was no ordering of chips. And then the COVID set in. So during the COVID period, what happened is, what came in? Computers and games, 5G, mobiles. So the technology is different, the chip sizes are different. So people diverted capacities to produce non-automotive parts or parts which are not used in, these kind of manufacturing. So the whole system collapsed and the lead period went up for many, many years. And today also, if someone has to recoup that capacity, please understand, it will take at least 3 to 4 years. It's improving, but not improved to that an extent. But somewhere down the line, someone will need to be investing in it. Some of the Indian companies have now made an effort because the government of India has started this PLI scheme on semiconductors. But it's a very, very small investment, just tip of the iceberg because...
Actually, I wanted to ask you a question on this because, when the Chips and Science Act had come out, there were companies in the US which wanted to kind of start manufacturing. I think we were talking about it. Micron committed 40 billion, right? So there are companies making huge commitments. So like someone who's embedded in this industry, what is your take? What does India need to do and how far are we, how far is the gap?
We really need to provide a very large infrastructure and, in terms of support system for the people to come. And I think this is the need of the hour. I'll not name the city or the state for various reasons. I just want to tell you, I'm in the process of setting up 2 large plants related to EV, and I'm struggling to get power and water. I'm struggling to get power and water. I don't use water in my production. I use water more towards domestic water. That means for my daily use in the plants. And if you need semiconductors use millions of liters of water every day for manufacturing. So I think just announcing 40 billion or 100 billion, which is again, I think peanuts in this kind of industry, we will have to go in hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. But I think someone has to give that infrastructure to these companies to come and set up this.
For the private sector to kind of...
to get. Yeah. Otherwise, it will not work the way it is pointing.
Brejesh, we could just give a view on Indian macroeconomic view, what that you have, and basically a view, what is RBI doing about interest rates, dollar rupee, and what should entrepreneurs look forward to in the next, few months?
So I think after hearing Sanjeev's story about starting an industry in, the late 80s, where you had so many headwinds, 300% plus tax and all of that, I would say, I think in some sense, we're very lucky to be in the current situation we're in. We just spoke about global situation, what's happening in other countries. And even the US, though they're doing well because they're blowing up their fiscal deficit, right? China's, as it is, having issues. EU is having issues. So relatively, India is looking like a bright spot on all parameters. So if you see our reserves, we are at about 625 billion. Our reserves had come down to 500 defending the rupee. We are one of the best performing currencies in Asia. If you look at our fiscal prudence, most of you would have heard the on-accounts budget. The government actually has, said that they would probably borrow 1.4 trillion less, 1.4 lakh crores lesser, right? Which is tightening their belt, which is fiscal prudence, which is really appreciated by the industry and global pundits. If you look at our GDP forecast, as bankers, we make predictions. We put out 6.5, then we put it up to 7, to 7.1 and 7.3, and now possibly we're going to taper off at 7.4. So it's very, very good in terms of our growth rate. So strong GDP. Obviously, we've heard enough about the population being right. So social factors definitely positive. The RBI is holding the currency fairly well. Interest rates have been fairly stable for a while. So you've got all the tailwinds, Prashant, that you need to kind of do business. Elections right around the corner, but the stability of the government, if it stays through, is again seen as a big positive. And for all of us here, look at the money coming into the country. So we have FDI and FPI. FPI is the hot money, people putting money into equities or bonds, and then you have FDIs. So the FDI story has been fairly positive for India, and we continue to see that. The FPI earlier was not so great, but now that has also started coming in. We've heard about the bond indexation, which basically means, the JP index or the Bloomberg index have added India to the index, which basically means 24 billion just coming from that, and most of it into government paper. So all that money coming in and the government borrowing less implies that there's going to be more demand for government paper, which means yield should come down. So from an interest rate situation also, logically, there is no reason for rates to stay as where they are. You'd probably see over maybe a year, a gradual tapering down of rates. So I would say we've got all the tailwinds, and obviously the government has, I think, taken a leaf out of China, and there's a lot of infra spend. Most of us are seeing there are many states that have taken the lead forward, but the center is definitely doing that, whether it is Sagarmala project, the Bharatmala project, the Mumbai-Delhi corridor. So I see, I would say the next 3-4 years, definitely, or probably 4 years. The only risk, like I said, is probably outside India, and those are the geopolitical risks which I alluded to.
Today is right, geopolitical has started playing around so much, we've left, we slept with our stock markets very high in the morning, we get up and suddenly we are seeing a crash because someone in the US sneezed in the night and we are having this problem. So I think this is a risk which we will have to live with now.
So just another important thing, innovation. I think you've repeatedly told whenever I've met, the DNA at Flash is innovation to differentiation. And I've also seen you developing so many e-mobility solutions from a two-wheeler to buses. So how do you see innovation playing an important role in the Indian economy on the manufacturing side?
See, innovation will always is the key. It's not only in my business, but in any business today. And it's definitely a slightly higher in our business because we have to continuously, give certain distinctive edge to our customer. I mean, if everyone is going to be making the same product and the same thing, look at it, I'll take you 30 years back. Two-stroke was in motorcycles or scooters, it was two-stroke engine. We hardly used to get 30, 40 kilometers to a liter. It went to 80 kilometers to a liter when four-stroke engines started coming in. Now you don't hear it. It is actually, these are all standard road conditions, ARI standards. Today, there are certain vehicles meeting 120 kilometers. What is this? Nothing has changed. The fuel is the same, the oil is the same, everything is the same. Fuel mixture is the same. It's the innovation in electricals and electronics. This is the differentiator which needs to be provided. Like I said, you will need to provide innovation to meet the customer demand. True. If you allow me, I'll say something that today, like I said, it's impossible for us to have land and building to give as collateral because I'm not going to be investing in land and building. Today, the banks will also need to innovate to provide some differentiation, maybe a leasing model, maybe a model which is more cash flow based than collateral based. So in terms, what is all this called? This is all called innovation. Innovation does not mean always technology. Innovation is any change which benefits the end user is innovation. And that is what we have really believed in. And I think this is the key differentiator everyone should do. And this is the only road to success. Please understand today, we are always, getting, let's say, carried away with the tag when people tell us, oh, India is a low-cost country, India will benefit. What low cost? Where is the low cost today? Look at the salaries, how they have gone up. Everything which has gone up. So if we don't innovate, whether it is on the process side, whether it is on the technology side, whether it is on the automation side, we will no longer be a LCC. We are going to be, having the same problems what Europeans are facing today. it is unviable now to do businesses in Europe because of their labor cost and the manpower cost. And so it is the need of the hour. It is not that, innovation, people who do innovation will succeed. No, everyone will have to do innovation to survive, forget succeed. And this is something I think we should all take.
Yeah.
And the banks will have a huge role to play in this in the future. You are the ones whose money makes us grow our businesses, and the economy grows because of you. And if you help us, I'm sure everyone sitting in the room will benefit from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Brejesh, what would be your take on technology and innovation in banking, and how is it shaping up in the country? And probably specific to Axis Bank as to what we are doing about it.
That's basically my cue to Tom a bit about the bank's innovation. But honestly, again, as bankers, we're service providers to all of you. That's our job. And, today, as Vijay also pointed out and Munish also spoke, it's Make in India and MSME is effectively what is building India grassroots upwards. So, for you to innovate, as again Sanjeev pointed out, we need to create the infrastructure, which the government has definitely started and done a lot of good work. The central bank like RBI is doing that. What I'd like to just 2 minutes talk about, Prashant, is how, at least India, we speak about infrastructure. But what I love about India right now is how India has used the internet. So the West uses the internet, obviously for advertising and, marketing and social media and all of that. Not that we don't do that, but I think the current government has used the internet in a way to bridge the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And that surge in money power, and when you lift people, when you lift 100 million people or 200 or 300 million people above the poverty line or up, as they keep moving up, they will spend more. And as they spend more, the GDP does well, you do well. So I think for that, the digital stack that India has built, whether it is UPI, whether it is Aadhaar, we are now talking about ONDC, which is like the Amazon of Amazons, right? Everything comes on that. There's OCN coming in, which is a national credit exchange where everyone knows their credit reviews. So if you look at DigiLocker, DigiYatra, FASTag, so I think the social and the digital stack that India has built is the one that is fueling innovation in India. And the base of that, again, there have been a lot of health factors, the internet cost. I've spoken to you about this in the past. In the US, 1 GB of data costs $6. It costs 20 cents in India. And because it costs 20 cents, that is why a lot of people are able to, have startups. Today we're called the startup center of the world. Again, from a banking perspective, how this has helped us. So if you step into our branch, it costs us about 75 rupees to service you. If you use an ATM, it costs us 15 rupees. If you use web login, that's 2 rupees. An app is 1 rupee. So that's how innovation technology is helping us. I'm sure it can help you as well. And again, you are all in the manufacturing sector. Let me just leave you with one more statistic. Today, India did not have landlines and COVID happened and everyone needed the internet. Everyone bought smartphones. Now that's fueled the phone manufacturing in India, right? Because we said we don't want to import it. 96% of all internet usage is on smartphones. And with this we have achieved what we've achieved. Now imagine the internet penetration through landlines is barely 2-4%. If that goes up, imagine what all things you can manufacture and the need goes up. So I think we're on the right track, and from an Axis perspective, we're ourselves learning. We looked at the whole digital journey, the physical journey that a consumer or a customer like an MSME would go through. And we said, how do we make it from physical to phygital to digital? And the idea is to, when you take the human intervention out, It's a lot better. It improves a lot of things and improves speed for all of you. I'll give you one quick example. We all know what happened, with the RBI when they kind of put the brakes a bit on Paytm. Paytm's nodal bank account was hit. So what Axis had been building over the last 4 years were our APIs. So in simple parlance, what our APIs are doing is, as an MSME or as a corporate, we are saying, stay where you are, stay in your system. Rather than you come onto a website and access us, we will come to you. We will come into your SaaS platform with connectors. So that's what APIs are. We've built the maximum number of APIs. So there was no bank that could handle the flow so fast. In 2 days, we clinched the deal. We closed the deal. We stitched up everything in 7 days. So just to give you size and perspective, the promise that Paytm makes to its retailers is that whatever you sell in the day, I will give you the credit by 8 o'clock next morning. And that's 40 lakh transactions that we have to process in one night. Not even one night when our system shuts, so 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. And we did that very successfully. And so that's just one example. And, I hope that we can you can look at Neo for Business, Neo for Corporates, which are there for you and help us serve you better. Thank you.
Great. Last question, Sanjeev ji. We have spoken so much about technology and EV as a space is here to stay. What is your take on EV? And there's so many startups also coming in EV. So what is your take on the industry and all these new companies coming up on the EV space?
See, no business can survive on subsidies. So at the end of the day, today, look at 4 years back, the startups who were there in the EV space are no longer there because they started building models around subsidies. You cannot build models around subsidies. I mean, people were panicky 24 hours earlier because whether the government is going to extend the FAME 2 beyond March or no. And I think only 5-6 hours before there's a statement which has come that the FAME 2 will continue till July. And but I was anticipating that because they had given that additional budget thing. Otherwise, why would they give it if they were not extending it? But I think at the end of the day, you cannot build a model around a subsidy model, number one. Number two, as far as startups are concerned, it's not going to be an easy journey because the reason is that these kind of products need a lot of validation, a lot of technology goes into it, and you need a very different kind of a infrastructure to produce such parts. And I think they will have a problem comparing, in comparison to the legacy companies because they have the experience, they have the know-how, they have the R&D setups. But, of course, a couple of startups will succeed. But overall, I would say that EV is here, definitely here to stay, but it is not going to grow in leaps and bounds. It is going to grow, but India still needs to prove a lot on this technology. The technology is still evolving. In two-wheelers, it has stabilized to a certain state. If you look at it, now there are certain EVs which are available sub 1 lakh rupees. But again, there are certain compromises happening. But I think on the other side of it, again, we have to ensure that there's enough electricity available to, and again, logistically, we have to start creating charging stations. Just visibly creating 5 or 10 charging stations in the city does not help in any way. Like I said, if I'm not getting electricity for one of my plants, that means I don't know how people are going to get electricity to charge their vehicles. So,
but then don't you think that's actually it's a big opportunity then because, whether it's charging stations, batteries, new material, it's all manufacturing and it's this audience that has to create.
Brejesh, again, you have to have a very structured approach towards this. Now, charging station, you just can't go in the middle of the road and start putting a charging station. Someone has to allocate the space to it. You have to create the safety aspect to it. Because, tomorrow if the charging station, you put it in a mall, let's say most of the malls have basement parking. You can't just go and put a charging station in the mall that for God forbid if one of the charging station catches fire, you can't have all the cars standing in that basement blow up. So I think there is a lot of work which needs to be done. We are only looking at one side of the, we've just been given one side, but I think behind there is a lot of back-end work, planning, which needs to be done. But I'm sure it is being done. We are seeing charging networks coming in. People are creating apps. There are very few, some very good charging companies have come in, but it'll take some time. But regulation driven, you will see EVs growing more and more in the field of transportation. Whether it is three-wheelers, whether it is electric buses, you will see in the near future that this is going to be the maximum conversion will happen over there. Two-wheelers, four-wheelers will take some time. So my take, huh?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sanjeev ji, for taking time out and giving us all your inputs, and thanks for sharing the experience. I think it's been a great journey. Thanks, Brejesh, for taking time out and taking us through your views on global economy, Indian economy, and all of that. So, open to questions. If any of you have anything to ask, happy to take those questions.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. My name is Yashwant Shinde. I represent Insta ICT Solutions. So my question is, rather, it's not a question, it's a discussion point mainly to Mr. Sanjeev. You transformed the company from 2005, 10 crore to 1400 crore. And obviously, bank helped you and, you raised capital. But there is always a cost of capital, right? And during this journey, you also mentioned that, there is a lot of funds, and I think the gentleman mentioned about a lot of funds are coming into India through FDI, FPI route. So at any point of time, you felt that, you should look at the stock market to access the funds rather than, going to the banker. I know it's not the right question for the banker, but just want to understand, your perspective. Thank you.
No, I think it's for you. He wants to know about the...
Yeah, I just want to understand from Mr. Sanjeev.
He wants to know from you about accessing public markets for capital or taking bank finance.
See, I'll tell you, it is the most expensive funding is the stock market. The most expensive funding. Because you have a compulsion to reward your shareholders, either through dividends or other means. The cheapest form of funding is today a bank funding. Believe me. But I never believed in funding where, a lot of people got carried away in ECBs. Let's take foreign loan. 2% पे मिल रहा है, 1% पे मिल रहा है. That was never the correct funding method because there are certain, risk attached to it and currency risk and all are there. And the best way of funding is today, I would say, a leasing model where you can actually get it against your cash flow or a long tenure term loan with banks where you can actually get it structured to your needs in terms of ballooning payments which make your cash flow, it makes it cash flow friendly. And that is exactly what we did.
Just adding on to what Sanjeev said, equity is like he said, is the most expensive this thing. So bank finance would be the right this thing. And on the leasing thing, the point that he made, there are a lot of NBFCs today who do this leasing model. So you can kind of access that. Otherwise, bank finance is definitely available.
I have a question to Sanjeev ji. You mentioned that in India or Indian people have distinct skill sets over, say, China or Vietnam. So could you explain that? Because what I have observed is in China, they have really taken great strides, not only in manufacturing, but even in design development and engineering and innovation also. So could you elaborate that?
See, in the skill set today, if I look at it, why I say this is that the number of colleges today, diploma colleges which we have, ITIs, the schemes the government has created in terms of skill development, I think we are definitely far ahead than China in a skill set today. In China, you have labor which is actually working non-stop, but they are just doing a monotonous job. There is no innovation which is happening in China. I'm not saying that the exceptions are not there, but believe me, I have studied that country very much in detail. Of course, I haven't been there for the last 8-9 years now, but there was a time I used to go there every 2 months, 3 months to learn from them. I think that the kind of mindsets, the skill set we have, it's very easy to spend, to automate something. But today, it is not necessary to automate. You need to have certain, let's say, low-cost automation. I'm not talking a jugaad, but I'm talking about a low-cost automation, which India has done, a lot of industries have done. And because of our technical strength, because today, in every nook and corner, take the state of Maharashtra, for example, the amount of diploma colleges and ITIs you have in Maharashtra, and if the companies give them the opportunity, today I am attached to this Learn and Earn scheme. It's an amazing scheme where we are actually, teaching them the job and also giving them a stipend. So in 2 years, when they pass out from their current colleges, they are actually skilled to work in various kinds of industries. When they can come back to us, they can go to any other larger industry. So I think one really needs to have the belief that if we are able to spend time in training, the kind of skill development we can do in our country, it will be unchallenged.
Thank you. I have one more question. Sanjeev ji, you mentioned about EV startups, and you were referring to certifications or a lot of validation required, and that is true for every product. Even I run an electronic industry, and we are in safety, security, surveillance. Now, their certifications are so important. So, what is your experience? Do banks fund for certain validation, certification? Because these expenses are now, in fact, my experience is if we spend 100 rupees on R&D, then probably certification cost could be 300. Okay. So what is your experience? And I would like to hear from bankers also, how do you look at it?
Very interesting point you worked out, you asked that whether the banks fund such things. To my best of my knowledge, banks currently do not do this. But if you add that as a part of your project cost, I'm sure the banks will do it. Because we treat it as a project expense. Whenever we are taking a finance from a bank for a particular project, we would add all these expenses to it. And going forward, especially when things are going to be towards electric, these kind of certification costs can be very, very high. They will be required. I know India is not doing that, but in electronics today, there will be a time when we'll have to really make safety vehicles in terms of making the vehicles safe. People are going to ask ASIL B, ASIL C, ASIL D certification. I'm sure you understand that. That is not in a few thousands or lakhs. It can go into a few crores of rupees. So this is going to be something, and I think it's a good suggestion to Prashant that this should be treated as a part of the project cost.
No, absolutely, Sanjeev. I think he hit the nail on the head. If it's a part of the project cost, banks definitely finance it. So I think when you're requesting the bank for a loan on that, this should be a part of your project cost, and it definitely banks do consider it. See, generally banks don't finance intangibles, and I don't know whether this gets classified as an intangible, but if it's part of the project cost, banks definitely finance it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. My name is Vinayak. My question to Sanjeev, sir. As I run my business in sector of boiler, we have the customer like Thermax, L&T and Thyssen Group. But as a small scale industries, we have the problems of manpower and something. But in day-to-day life, there is some problems like, and we are get frustrated and we have to motivate ourselves. So what is your vision or how you are motivate yourselves in your early stages, or how, and another question is that how you are going to take a risk in case of investment, if you have to invest, as you mentioned that there is in 2005 you are investing 50 crore rupees in one time. How you take a risk for that?
See, I'll answer you in two ways. Number one, you cannot just go and start taking risk. There has to be some authenticated business plan you should have, where you have certain orders which are visible or committed before you should take these kind of risk. In my case, when I invested 50 crores, I had commitment saying that if you are able to set up this shop, we will definitely buy from you. At the end of the day, you have to prove yourself. So I would say that please make an authenticated business plan. What you pointed out is that, in a small scale industry or a medium scale industry, one thing very important is to keep the worker motivation at a very high level. So I think what sometimes we don't realize is we don't give them the basic need. Basic need is that what does a worker need today? When he comes today, he needs a clean environment to work in. He needs maybe clean toilets they can use, water. These are very small things which you can take care of your workers. Believe me. And this will make them so happy that, let's say today, I still remember, I used to go to some factories, people used to be sitting on the floor and having tea. Now, if that same factory owner would have spent 2,000 rupees and given them a table and a stool to sit down and have that cup of tea, would have made an amazing difference. These are very small things. But I think what is important is you need to keep your workers motivated in terms of giving them proper training, basic infrastructure. I'm not saying that every small-scale industry can afford to give high-end infrastructure, and the most important, multi-skilling. Do not keep them monotonous in one job. Try to teach them more and more, a production guy doing quality, knowing a little bit of maintenance of a machine. That means what you are doing is you are improving his skill set. You are also helping yourself, that one person is becoming an all-rounder. Today also in cricket matches today, no longer batsman and bowler win you the matches. It's the all-rounders who win you the matches. So I think this is important from your perspective to see how many all-rounders you can create in your organization, and that will keep them motivated.
Hello, I am Vishwanath from Bondeli and Pavesi, India. My question to respected bankers. Beside credit lines or finances, what bankers specially do for SMEs? Like we are a MNC and we have many forex transactions, or the transparency for the exchange currency, or the small payments which we made outside India, the card rates which bank charge to the remitter. So what Axis as a banker do for SMEs?
I'll take part of it. But you mentioned FX and rates and transparency. So first thing for transparency is, I think that digitization and automation definitely helps. So this tool that we are putting out is basically trying to take away what is opaque. So the idea is honestly the same system effectively that my team sees when they quote is the same system that at least we envision you will have at your end. The other part is, about the best rates that you can always get. So very recently, we were just internalizing. The idea is to have a product suite where if the customer is ready to, it's not about how much volume you have, but it is about the percentage of volume. So for example, if you bank with 2 customers and if you are ready to commit a larger part of the volume to us, the idea is the rates can definitely, be adjusted as per that, and there's a rate chart on all of that. See, apart from all of that, there's, our very slogan, or as Vijay and Muni said, is open. They'll say open. So we're building, they say banks are built on systems, processes, and people. And systems we are building, processes are there, and people is something that Axis always has. So if you do have a problem with the rate or whatever, do reach out. More than happy to kind of help make it as easy for you as possible. Prashant, anything on the lending rates as well?
So, you said what can banks do other than lending? See, as a bank, our intent is not just to lend, and I think it is to meet every requirement of yours, what you have as a company, and what do you need generally? You want to collect your funds from your customers quickly. You want an efficient payment mechanism where you can do payments on time. You want some support in terms of your import transactions. If you're doing exports, you want us to support you on export credit. You have a set of employees, you want us to give a solution to them. You have some personal banking needs and probably serve all this digitally. I think, this is what the bank can offer today, that sitting at your desk at the click of a button, you can open an LC, do an import remittance, or, as soon as your export remittance comes in, there's an intimation that comes to you. Do all your payments on time, get your collections done efficiently, reconcile it in your Tally or any other ERP that you have, give your employees a salary account proposition where they get benefits of banking with Axis, having their salary account with us. Personally, we offer a lot of solutions to promoters on their personal banking. So all of this, I hope I've covered all of it, but if you still have more, happy to look at that.
I think we're standing between people and the dinner. I think we're standing between people and the dinner as well.
Yeah.
Just 1 second, sir. We'll have the mic for you. Can we please have the mic for the gentleman there?
So, I'm Nitin Joshi from Vignata Technologies. So when I sign loan papers, I have to, sign maybe 50 or 100. Okay, and every director has to do that. Even a new bank account is to be opened, dividend account. Again, everything has to be given.
Sure.
So today we are in, paperless. Why banks are actually, and why you cannot pitch it to Reserve Bank? This is becoming ridiculous.
No, absolutely agree, sir. I think, as a bank, we've gone forward in a lot of locations where we do e-documentation, and it's based on an OTP that you e-sign the document. So you don't sign those 90, 100 pages anymore. And, it's completely digital today, the journey. And all account opening, you can do it online sitting at your office, or your loan documentation is also digital. Yeah.
We were never told that.
Okay, sure. So I think we are standing between drinks and dinner, so you want to take.
So in case if you have any questions, probably you can take it up on one-to-one basis since they're going to be around with us while we enjoy our cocktails and networking. Let us have a huge round of applause for this informative discussion that we had. A huge round of applause for our speakers as well as we just need you to be here for a second. So we would like to felicitate our panelists. So I'm going to request our moderator to Mr. Prashant T.S. to kindly felicitate Mr. Sanjeev Vasdev and Mr. Brejesh Chalil. Can we have a huge round of applause for both of them? Thank you so very much for giving us your valuable time and knowledge at the 8th edition of Evolve. Thank you so very much. I would like to request all three dignitaries to kindly take the seat as we move ahead. We now approach towards the end of our gathering, and to deliver the vote of thanks, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Swati Chandak. So she is the Geography Head for Liability segment. Can we have a huge round of applause and welcome ma'am on stage.
As we draw towards the end of this wonderful session, I would like to thank Mr. Vasdev, Mr. Prashant and Mr. Brejesh for sharing their valuable insights, and to all our guests for taking their precious time out to attend this session. I hope the session was useful, and we will ensure that we come back to you next year with a new theme so that we can all evolve together. Before we end this session, your thoughts are very valuable to us. Hence, I request all of you to please fill in the forms and submit the same at the registration desk. I now request everyone to please join us for cocktails and dinner. Thank you so much for your presence.